Hey guys, so recently, me and some friends decided to jump back into Battlefield 4, a game we hadn't played for years. We didn't even know if anyone would still be playing. I was surprised to find that not only were people still playing, there was heaps of people still playing. 5 to 6 full servers at any given time. I mean, look at all these servers. Which is insane for a game that came out in 2013, especially on Australian servers. Most FPS games have a few years at best, until it gets hard to find a full lobby. So today, I wanted to take a look at what made Battlefield 4 such a cult classic. Why and how has this game remained so popular all these years, when more recent titles have struggled to keep new and veteran players interested alike? Have we all just grown up as gamers? Or is there something missing from the newer titles? You just have to look at the difference in hours played to know something is missing. I have almost 1,000 hours in Battlefield 4, which is insane. I think that's the most hours I've ever put into a single game. But then compare that to Battlefield 1, and I have just short of 300 hours. Then the most recent title, Battlefield 5, I have just 27 hours. What? So, how has this happened? This is Battlefield 4, a revisit in 2020. So, nostalgia is a funny thing. You'll have these memories of this game you played way back in the day and be like, why don't they make games like that anymore? Then you go back and play them and you're like, man, this game is garbage. Why did I ever think it was so good? Well, I'm happy to report Battlefield 4 is nothing like that. It is exactly how I remember it. It feels just as good to play today as it did back in 2013. It's actually crazy to me that I can just jump back into this game all these years later and just get right back into the swing of things. All the muscle memory, all the spots to sit, all the controls, it's all just there, like riding a bike. The games you're watching in the background now are my first games in over 3 years. So in my opinion, one of the things that made this game so good was the map design. You had these wide open maps, but in most maps you had a central point where all the infantry players could battle it out, mostly unbothered by vehicles. But then the surrounding flags would be these wide open places, perfect for vehicle players to battle it out with one another and kill any infantry that was pushing out too far. I feel as if the map design in more recent titles took a bit of a back seat. Maps, in my opinion, didn't feel as flexible as they did in Battlefield 4. It felt like you were locked into one style of play, depending on the map. Some maps would just be wide open, which is perfect for vehicle play, but there was only so many vehicles on a map. So what about the players that didn't get a vehicle? Well, they were doomed to get killed over and over again, or to sit in someone's gunner seat, hoping to maybe pick up a few kills here and there. And then, the polar opposite. The tight lane-like maps, perfect for infantry play, maybe 2 or 3 ways enemies could come from, which usually turned into a nade spam cluster. No backcapping, no tactics, just spray every corner. But don't get me wrong, I know Battlefield 4 had maps like this too. I'm looking at you, Operation Metro, which people obviously liked. I mean, do you remember all the 24/7 Operation Metro servers back in the day? I mean, if you like to punish yourself, who am I to judge? But there felt like there was more choice with maps like Zovad, Siege of Shanghai, Caspian Border, and Gulf of Omar, just to name some of my favourites. All these maps felt super flexible in how you could play them, and there was plenty of them to choose from. Then there's the gunplay, which was super enjoyable and way ahead of any other FPS at the time. It was easy to pick up and hard to master, which gave you a rewarding feeling by sticking with your favourite weapon and mastering it. Not to mention how many weapons were in the game. By the time all the DLCs had come out, there was over 80 weapons in this game, which were all customizable with different attachments and skins. There was quite literally thousands of combinations of weapons that players could have, and all the weapons somehow felt different and viable to use. Then there was the way you customize your weapons and vehicles. You could see a visual representation of what you were changing in real time. I mean, look at this gunsmith screen and all the options. Sure, nowadays, this is just standard stuff, but back in 2013, I remember this being absolutely unreal to me. The gunplay wasn't without its flaws though. People that played the game when it first came out will remember how bad the hit reg was at launch. You could quite literally shoot a whole clip at someone and get maybe 1 or 2 hits. This thankfully got better with time, as they started to patch the game, and then with the introduction of 60Hz servers, this improved massively. But jumping back in 2020, this is a very noticeable issue compared to modern titles. Your bullets quite literally seem to vanish into thin air sometimes, while your enemies seem to drop you in a second flat. But this is to be expected in a game this old. And the spotting system in this game, who could forget that? It was horrible. Basically, spam spot to win. I'm glad they've gone away from that in more recent titles, because at the time, it just felt like you were shooting at massive red dots on your screen. You could get away from this in hardcore servers, but I couldn't find any run-in today. Another thing I really loved about this game was the only in battlefield moments, like the one you saw in the trailer at the start of the video. Want to jump a quad into a helicopter? Well, you could quite literally do that in game if you wanted. Shooting down a jet with a tank? Sure. Jumping out of your jet and rocketing the jet behind you, then jumping back into your jet? Guess what? You can do that too. Sure, these moments weren't happening all the time, but the possibility was there. And when you pulled off one of these only in battlefield moments, you were like, wow, did that just happen? I feel like the more recent titles are missing these moments. You could put this down to the time period they're set in, but I wish they tried to incorporate something to replace them. I guess you could say they did, with the incorporation of the mega vehicles like the blimp or the armoured train, but these never felt like the only in battlefield moments to me, just more like massive bullet magnets for everyone to shoot at. Then, another feature I loved about the game, Levolution. These were map changing events that could be activated by you, the player, that could quite literally change the whole flow of a map. I remember seeing the Siege of Shanghai trailer from E3 and not believing that that could be happening in real time, but the first time I jumped into the map, it happened and I was blown away by it. This one in particular did get a bit annoying after a while though. Felt like every match for the first few months, everyone wanted to see the tower come down, so it was happening every match, but after the hype died down, it was better. Some were a bit gimmicky, but some generally changed the flow of the whole map. Flood Zone being a standout to me, literally flooding the whole map, making boats and APCs the only way to get around between flags. It was a cool feature and I wish it was in the newer titles. And who can forget the Phantom program? A bunch of cryptic clues that usually came with each DLC for us, the Battlefield 4 community, to work out and solve. I used to love all the speculation around these when they would come out, and people quite literally spending weeks working these out, and the rest of us all following along on YouTube. Doing these would earn you special skins, weapons and dog tags to show off to everyone, talk about engaging with your community. Anyway guys, I've been ranting on for long enough. If you have never played Battlefield 4 somehow, I definitely recommend picking it up. It is honestly one of my all-time favourite games, if not my favourite. It regularly goes on sale these days, so just keep a lookout. I hope with Battlefield 6, or whatever it's going to be called, they can go back to basics and get that core community back they had in this game, myself included. But only time will tell. I'm hopeful though. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know down in the comments. What's your favourite thing about Battlefield 4? What do you hope to see out of the next Battlefield? Let me know, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.